I have a bit of an update for you. So on November 7th, Francesca Albanese, this is the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of the occupied territories since 1967. That is her official title. That's 56 years now, the world's longest occupation in history. She's scheduled to come to the University of Toronto to give a talk. And this event sold out in less than 24 hours. Now, as a result of her upcoming visit, the wagons are being circled by the usual suspects who are desperately trying to sabotage the event. One of those wagons is piloted by the Tafsik organization. This is one of the many outfits that have popped up post-October 7th here in Canada. And I was able to procure the messages of their WhatsApp group. And you can see here, they say they need to find out where to register and flood them with registrations. Interesting use of the word flood. You can also see the director of Tafsik, Amir Epstein, sharing a poster calling Ms. Albanese Nazi filth. You can see here that they've put up Ms. Albanese in a Nazi armband. I tweaked a little bit so that there wouldn't be any fodder for those who want to bring this video down. The other wagon being circled is driven by the Jewish Defense League's former director, Meyer Weinstein. This is the FBI-listed terror organization, and they've called for protests that day against Albanese. Not to be undone, not to be outdone by these two groups, CIJA, the Center for Israeli Jewish Affairs, is going above and beyond protests and fake registrations. They want an official condemnation from Canada of Ms. Albanese by Melanie Joly. This is Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister. CIJA recently took to Parliament in Ottawa with 4 specific asks of the Canadian government. Here's number 3.
3, we call on the Canadian government to waive Ms. Albanese's diplomatic immunity. CIJA's legal task force would have a keen interest to seriously explore the option of representing Canadian families victims of terror in Canadian courts against Ms. Albanese.
So that's CIJA Director Richard Marceau on Parliament Hill asking Canada to strip Ms. Albanese of her diplomatic immunity while she's here, in case they want to prosecute her. Totally Delulu request, but hey, we are currently living in the upside down, so anything is possible. Request number 4 from CIJA is this.
And 4, we call on the government of Canada to demand Ms. Albanese's removal from her UN position. She is a disgrace to an organization that should represent the best of humanity, but already too often fails when it comes to Israel due to its bias against the world's only Jewish state.
So CIJA wants to remove Ms. Albanese from the UN. Another Delulu request. Now, what's important to point out here is that the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, aka Veto Queen, took to Twitter to denounce Ms. Albanese, who was in New York recently. And she wrote, quote, "As UN Special Rapporteur, Albanese visits New York. I want to reiterate the U.S. belief she is unfit for her role. The United Nations should not tolerate anti-Semitism from a UN-affiliated official hired to promote human rights." End quote. Hired to promote human rights. No, 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 that's not the job. That's not her job at all. She's not Joan Baez touring around singing songs and Kumbaya, my lord, and giving the peace symbol. That's not Ms. Albanese's job. Let me break down for you what Ms. Albanese, who speaks 45 languages and is an international human rights lawyer, does. On May 1st, 2022, she was appointed the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories. She is an investigator, not a spokesperson, not a promoter of human rights. She investigates Israel's egregious 56-year-long occupation. That is her job. And she is the first woman to be in that position. What's also very important to point out is that before Ms. Albanese was the UN Special Rapporteur, it was Canadian Michael Link who held that position, who is also a legal academic and professor of law. And guess what? Michael Link was also deemed unfit and biased. Now, the attacks on Ms. Albanese are not new at all. Not even 3 months into her mandate, Israel was already trying to tarnish her and remove her from her post. It doesn't matter. You see, the accusation is enough to get asinine commentary like this one, recent post from Canada's official US mission page in Geneva. Quote, "The recent remarks by Francesca Albanese are unacceptable and incompatible with her duty, blah, 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 blah. Anti-Semitism has no place anywhere." I went searching for these remarks. Here they are. It's a tweet, and it reads, quote, "Because of their history, one might have thought Germans and Italians would be at the forefront of the opposition to the Netanyahu-driven assault on Gaza, which is now metastasizing across the region. Our collective obliviousness to what led 100 years ago to the Third Reich's expansionism and the genocide of people not in conformity with the pure race is asinine. And it is leading to the commission of yet another genocide, yet another regional war, and potentially yet another global one. Shame on all those who are making it happen. States should not forget, among others, the ICJ's warning in Nicaragua versus Germany last April. May their responsibilities be investigated, including in the respective domestic courts." End quote. That is the remark. That is the remark that is garnering so much vitriol against the UN Special Rapporteur. So where's the anti-Semitism in that remark? When did it become anti-Semitic to make comparisons? And when I was doing genocide studies at the Zorion Institute, one thing that I quickly learned is that there is an exceptionalism with Israel, even when it comes to the Nazi genocide of the Jewish people. That genocide stands alone. And a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Jewish institutions and organizations don't like the Holocaust compared to any other genocide. They think it has no comparative features. However, we know from studying various genocides, from Cambodia to Rwanda to Srebrenica, that there are comparables. And that is how you come up with theories. That is how scholars do research. They make connections, and then you create something like the 10 stages of genocide, which begins with classification, number 1, and ends with denial, number 10. And that is the way that Dr. Gregory Stanton, who happened to be my professor, came up with the 10 stages by making comparisons. There is nothing exceptional about the Nazi genocide of the Jewish people, except the abhorrent scale. There are similar features to every other genocide. Hate and racism, which anti-Semitism is a form of, if allowed to fester, result in genocides. It happened in Rwanda. It happened in Cambodia with the Khmer Rouge. It happened in Bosnia. And it also happened with the Armenian genocide in 1915, which Germany also played a hand in. If you don't allow for comparisons, then never again actually just means over and over and over again, which is where we are today. What is happening in Gaza is a genocide, a protracted, slow drip genocide. Genocides are not one-time events. They are a process. And we've watched that process unfold in the palms of our hands for more than a year now.